Hey Rockets, it's Mrs. Wilkenbush. Hope you are doing well. We are continuing our book club study on Masterminds by Gordon Korman. We are doing chapter 19 today, and Tori Priddle is the author of this chapter. So let's hear what Tori has to say. Mom makes my favorite dinner tonight, mac and cheese with spicy bread crumb topping, and doesn't give me a hard time until I start my fourth helping. It's love. It has to be. Nothing has changed. A few whiteboards and an old article on the internet can't wipe out a family. Steve looks up from the depths of my homework. Their simple equation's terrific. We went over this last week and the week before. I'm an artist, Steve. I tell him I obviously don't do math. As long as it's part of the curriculum, Mom says, you obviously do. I know they're not my biological parents, but I refuse to believe that I'm just an experiment to them. I mean, every bit as much of them as a real daughter would. How can I leave them? On the other hand, I see the conference room of the plastic factories, and I saw the PAX office where our bogus reality is crafted for our eyes only. I read the description of project or serious that could only be us, raised up to the ears in harmony and contentment in hermetically. This can't be a misunderstanding. There's no way we got it wrong somehow. It's awful, but it's the awful truth. Let's go back and see about this hermetically.
Hermetic.
Ooh, there you go. Did you guys know you could do that on there? Cool. Anyway, every time my parents had to work late, a virtual shipment of traffic cones urgently needed somewhere. That was a bold-faced lie. They were probably in the conference room reporting on me, making notes on my whiteboard. Worse, even before I was born, when Project or Sirius was supposed to be canceled because it was immoral, my parents signed on anyway to raise the clone of some criminal mastermind. Me. Maybe they did it for the money. Serenity's a pretty rich place. They had student loans to pay off. What choice did they have? I want to believe that so much, but it still doesn't explain everything. So how can I stay? Maybe it's this. We artists are hopeless romantics, and there's this romantic vision that I just can't shake. Infant Tori placed in the arms of two researchers. It's love at first sight. It could have happened that way. It probably happened that way. But is that enough? I'm getting a lot of pressure from Malik and Hector to make up my mind once and for all. Eli's been a lot cooler, but deep down he's more torn up than any of us. After all, Mr. Frieden is the head of the project or Sirius. Oops, not Mr. Frieden, Dr. Hammersham. To make life even more difficult, Amber has gone from best friend to ex-best friend and barely even talks to me. This is pretty awful because we're still supposed to be doing our Serenity Day project together. So there she is in my studio, painting the background of my mural. They say silence can be deafening. Well, this is the opposite of that. Our silence is just silent. We might as well be in deep space. We're closer than sisters, and I know something that explains everything about her life and her world. And what do I tell her? Nothing. Some friend I am. It's beyond weird, or maybe not. Maybe the criminals we're cloned from are the strong and silent type. My climbing wild roses have stopped climbing halfway up the trellis, looking like they can make it to the top if only someone would pay attention to them. That someone being me. Along with everything else I've been neglecting, like my Serenity Day project and my best friend, I've been neglecting my plants too. Steve says you can't grow roses in the desert, and it's turned into one of our classic no you can't, yes I can things. So I'm determined to grow them, paint a picture of them, and present him with the finished product, nicely framed on his next birthday. I scale the trellis with a handful of twist ties so I can train the tendrils to reach for the sky. The feeling of being off the ground against the stucco is eerily familiar. I can almost see myself clinging to the wall of the plastic works after the rope came loose. It was very nearly a real disaster. I'm lucky the factory had so many niches and handholds that it let me scramble to the top. Or maybe it wasn't luck. I look at our wall and see just as many spots to hang on to. If I can climb the factory in a pitch black, a regular house should be a breeze. Intrigued, I work my way past the roses, past the trellis, and up toward the second story. I can't explain it, but it just seems obvious to me, like the handholds and footholds have been outlined in magic marker. I'm pretty high up, but I'm not afraid at all. My sneakers are established in the mortar course between the adobe bricks, and my hands have a firm grip on the sill beneath my parents' bedroom window. I can hear their voices from inside and stifle an impulse to raise myself up and knock on the sash. They'd probably have a fit. I'm about to start down when a word from my mother reaches me and it stops me cold. Or Sirius 3. Or Sirius 3? That's Malik. I don't hang there. I do hang there waiting for more. I don't like it, I hear my father say. The kid's not just a number. You're talking about one of Tori's best friends. It's always been in the protocols. This from Mom again. The older ones will be 14 soon. Any toxic element has to be weeded out for the good of the group. This isn't what I signed up for, Steve sounds stressed. When does he go? We don't want to spoil the Serenity Day, Mom replies. After that, he's out. One of my feet comes loose and I lurch momentarily, swinging up from the sill. All at once, this climb isn't so much fun. And growing roses on the desert seems like a pointless waste of time. I ease myself down from the wall, scratching my legs on the thorns. It probably stings, but I don't even notice. A few overheard words can hurt so much more. We already know about our parents, but this is the first time one of us has heard it straight from their mouths. Any toxic element has to be weeded out. First Malik. Well, who's next? Most important of all, what exactly does weeded out mean? I suddenly realize that I'll never know, because we can't risk sticking around long enough to see it happen. I heard the Frieden. I head for the Frieden house. I feel like I'm going to throw up on my way over there. Yet now that the decision is made, I won't go back on it. Funny, I never considered myself a strong-willed person, but suddenly I understand that I must be cloned from one. Eli opens the door. He looks nervous when he sees it's me. I swallow hard. I've made up my mind. Malik tries to play it cool when I tell him about my parents' conversation. We can tell he's freaked out, though, because he's breathing a little too hard, just like he's coming up from the water polo practice. Toxic element, huh? His usual bored jaw doesn't quite come off. So what else is new? The Priddles don't understand you like we do, Hector tries to cheer him up. The things you say, we get that you don't always mean them. Malik turns angry. You think this is only the Priddles? They're just who we heard it from. This is everybody, all the adults. Suddenly he's deathly quiet. My own parents, they want this too. They think I should be weeded. We have no way of knowing what weeded means, I remind him. He's bitter. I doubt your folks are talking about gardening. It doesn't matter what it means, Eli jumps in. We won't be here to find out. Now, let's work on our plan. What we come up with is pretty simple. It has to be, since we know nothing beyond our borders. We sneak out after everyone has gone to sleep, jump on our bikes, and all meet at the edge of the old County 6 just beyond the surveillance cameras. We're obviously flying by the seat of our pants, hoping that with the little information we have is right. Based on the map Eli has on the factory's internet, we think there's a rail line passing not far to the south of us. The trouble is the rail map has no Serenity on it. So our starting point is just an educated guess, based on the location of the Taos Carson National Forest. We could be just a few miles from the tracks. We could be 50 or 60. It's not a big difference on a map, Malik observes, but I bet it's pretty noticeable when you're pedaling. The planning meeting is pretty tense, and not just because we're short on details. We're scared to death, and even more scared of what might happen if we stay. Malik is obviously the one in immediate crisis, but we'll all turn 14 eventually. Eli's birthday comes a few days after Malik's. We're all in danger of being weeded, whatever that is. Can I ask a practical question, puts in Hector. What do we do when the train comes? Simple, Malik replies. We throw you onto the tracks, and while they're picking up the pieces with a shrimp fork, the rest of us sneak aboard. Be serious, Malik, I scold. Who's joking? I'm the toxic element, remember? No more than the rest of us, Hector sues. We're cloned from the same toxic Hall of Fame. Then I guess I win, Malik says with a mixture of acid and pride. Rah, rah. It's not easy to be the worst when you're raised with the scum of the earth. Eli steers the conversation back to the plan. We won't know how to handle the train until we're there, and it's actually happening. I'm hoping for a really slow, heavy freight that we can climb onto the flat car, but we'll just have to wait and see. As long as we're away from here, intones Malik, his expression haunted. I wish I could see my parents' reaction, says Hector with a mixture of relish and dread, when they wake up and realize their guinea pig is gone. This gives me a jolt. I was kind of thinking of leaving my parents a note, to tell them that I still love them in spite of everything. Eli practically jumps down my throat. No way. What if they wake up in the middle of the night and see it? They'll be on the phone with the purples in a heartbeat. My eyes fill with tears. I just can't stand the thought of that this is forever. Maybe someday, a long time from now, down the line, we can't, visit? My voice draws off. Yes, sign me up for that, Malik draws. I can't wait to come back so they can weed me. The date is set. Tomorrow night. With the clock ticking down on Malik, we have to act fast. Also, if we delay too long, someone is bound to chicken out. I'm sure you guys think it'll be me. I sleepwalk through school the next day, retreating into my own thoughts, because it's the only way to keep from losing it. I register everything as my last. My last taste of mom's scrambled eggs. My last water polo practice. My last meditation class. My last meal at the kitchen table in our house. Steve picks up on something. Is everything okay, Terrific? You seem kind of distracted. I was just thinking about art school at Sorbonne. I tell him, Paris has the Louvre, the Musée d'Orsay, and a lot of other great museums. It's a surefire way to get him off the topic of why I'm acting weird. Tomorrow, I know, an entire guided tour of the Louvre will be uploaded to my computer. Anything to keep me from wanting to go there. Poor Steve. He has no idea that I'm already on my way. There's just one thing left undone, and I have to take care of it. After dinner, I climb the stairs to my studio. There, stretched out on the big table, is the Serenity Day mural. Our project. Amber's and mine. It's finished. Not my best work, but I have to admit it looks pretty decent. Maybe because it depicts a way of life that I'm never going to have again. I roll it up and take it over to Amber's house. A walk I've made 1,000,000 times, although not lately and not feeling the way I do now. It's a good thing that Mr. and Mrs. Laska are home, or Amber probably wouldn't let me in. I'm grateful to her, though. She's kept her promise. She never told anyone about the pictures of the whiteboards. All she did was stop talking to me, which was painful enough. Eventually, we're up in her room and I unroll the mural. What do you think? Good, she says without even looking at it. Why did you bring it here? So you can take it to the Serenity Day. Why can't you take it to Serenity Day? This is obviously a question I have no answer for. So I just remind her, it's your project too. She rolls it up, looking exasperated and a little sad. Fine, I'll bring it in. It was fun working together, I blurt. Right, fun. I'm floundering now, and being so close that our lives were practically merged together, it's beyond terrible to leave things like this. I'm sorry we've been fighting. If you think about it, we've been friends a lot longer than we've been, not. She's not answering me anymore. She wants me to go, and anyway, there's no point in rambling on, because the one thing I really want to say is the one thing I can't. Goodbye. You guys, this is getting good. I wonder what's going to happen in the next chapters. Until next time, we'll see you soon, Rockets.